Well, welcome back to another daily installment of the Bones Daily Diary series, or virtual diary series. It's around August 17th, a Sunday at 9 p.m. We're about to get this video recorded and done, and then I'm going to go straight to bed because it takes almost surprisingly an hour for this whole thing to get done and be uploaded and all that. And I realize it's like a very mundane sort of format because it's just an audio recording of me talking with like a still image in the background. But I'm still doing this pretty early on, and I'm not really too familiar with video making and editing, unfortunately. But you know, we we do with we work with what we got for now, and then eventually, when I get a little bit more skilled, I'll try to up the ante for sure. um, but overall, not too bad. I'd say in terms of new updates today, I decided to take initiative. I decided to take initiative and do something more, something different with what I have in mind and all that. Lately, I've been contemplating about going back to school to get a different degree to consider making a career switch. And I decided to take the first steps today. I registered myself, created a whole new account for said community college, and got that secured. And then after that, I went straight into ordering my transcripts, sending those over. So my transcripts for my high school and my college, well, my university level experience, they're all getting transferred over. So that's nice. I'm gonna wait for them to receive it first, and then see what things I guess get cut out or what things get approved per se for that aspect, and then I'll just hit it straight to the gun, and if I can get some courses early on, I'll get some courses early on to basically shave off more time, because it's still even if I'm going back to school to do a whole career switch. And right now I'm only considering doing associate's program right now for my associate's degree. That'll still take almost a good year and a half to two, and if I can save a little bit of time here and there as much as I can, I would gladly do so. But again, it's one of those things where, like, wherever you go, you got your like required courses, your mandatory courses, and like they have their own mandatory rules where it's like, oh yes, you can take this lecture only if you also take the laboratory class along with it. And it's like, okay, sounds cool, but then when you click the laboratory class and everything, then it's like, oh well, that's great that you're deciding to pick this class. However, there you cannot right now because there's a specific code that you're not approved for yet, in which you have to talk to your counselor. And I'm like, well, okay, thanks. That really helps, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for telling me that I cannot take this course because I cannot take this lab because I cannot do this or that right now. Yeah, I know that really helps. I appreciate it so much. And then not only that, I gotta wait for some counselor to talk to me about it, and we gotta go from there and see what happens and all that. Which, okay, I guess but at least, and in this aspect, it's kind of giving me a little bit more patience. But that's okay. That's all right. What can you do? Um, I don't know. I guess in terms of other news, I admit, I'm just trying to. I feel like I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like I'm kind of both nervous and excited. I admit I'm both extremely nervous and excited because I'm excited on the prospect that what I'm trying to pursue, which is, I guess, nursing. It is challenging, but at the same time, it's lucrative. It's secure. It seems, like a career that once you get in, you have a lot of potential of expanding and growing and doing a lot of different cool things, and just constantly improving upon yourself, which is lovely, and I like that aspect to it. At the same time, I'm kind of scared because admittedly, this is my second time going around the whole thing. Like, I'm going back in to basically do a career switch and seeing if this thing works. And naturally, of course, you get nervous because you're just like, am I making the right choice? Am I not making the right choice? And that thought process is going to happen through and through because that it always does. You can't really avoid it. It's like, oh dear God, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the appropriate thing? Am I doing something that I know I'll find happiness in? But at the same time, you just gotta take risks. You just gotta take risks, or you gotta take initiative. And I feel like, personally speaking, that if you have well enough intentions and well enough goals laid out for yourself, then anything is achievable. Anything is achievable. And in that aspect, in that prospect of things, you know, I feel like it's doable. I certainly feel like it's doable, in the sense where, like, if I really just focus in these classes and pay attention and, do my work and, contribute and help out, then, I'll learn a lot of cool things, and I'll be able to excel further and, do everything and do it right, which is lovely. But, it's just taking the deep dive in. It's just like what I'm doing today, where it's like, yes, I made my account, I sent over my transcripts, I did all that in one day, like making everything and sending it all over. I did it all in one day. And that's because, I realized, I can't stop thinking about it. you know I can't stop thinking about it nonstop. We're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to try it out, I want to see at least, what it does, what it can offer and everything. But, sometimes you just gotta take the leap of faith and, just see where it takes you, and that's it. And but, that still doesn't necessarily mean that, like, you're not scared or nervous anymore. It just makes you realize, like, well, damn, hopefully it all works out. But, again, if you're well intentioned and everything, then it's possible, it is doable, that's for sure. um there's that. Sometimes I, again, from my, I guess, previous installment, I was thinking about some of my old friends again, and, you know it would be very interesting to see their their take on it. It would be funny to hear their reaction on it, because, um, they ain't here anymore. So, I'd love to hear them. And I feel like, I can already predict, like, some of them saying, like, come on, man, you're really kind of losing your game here. Like, you're kind of losing your mind over this, and some of them would just be like, just do it, man. Just do it. Like, who cares? Who gives a damn? Just go straight in, all in, go crazy. I'm like, thanks, man. Thanks. That really helps. The people that would, like, help me down, like, calm me down, help me break it down. It's like, pros and cons and everything, and considering all this and that, but it's all right. It's all right. And on the other prospect of it, I'll still have my homies that, I got to meet during my time doing engineering, and still talk to them. But, at the same time, on the other end of the spectrum, I'll be able to make new friends, new friends that I may have the pleasure of working with, in the healthcare industry, pleasure of meeting with and, interacting with on a regular basis. And I think that's cool. Not only are you expanding your mind further and, testing what you're capable of, seeing your full potential and limitations and everything, you're also kind of like meeting new people along with it, and, seeing what help they can give you, and, like, seeing what they can, do to assist and, be there for you too. And, I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. But, I always love to also hear about, like, how other people are going about it, when it comes to, um, their experiences as well, in school and in college and everything. And, that's it. And it's like sometimes where I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't know if anyone else kind of feels this way or sometimes not, but, like, it's like certain days I just kind of, like, sit at work and I'm thinking, like, damn, I gotta come in tomorrow, another day of work and everything, and it's just too hot and everything. And I unironically wish that, like, I wish I was back in kindergarten, but, like, with the knowledge of now, so I can just navigate it through easier. You know what I mean? Not necessarily faster, where, like, I want to go flying through the whole thing, but, like, just easier in the sense where it's like, I know what's coming next. I know what's gonna happen next, and even though I got this taken care of now, I can use the remainder of my time to actually enjoy what I have for the current moment before I know it goes all crazy. But sometimes you wish a lot. Sometimes, it happens, it doesn't. But who cares? Who cares? Because at the end of the day, what you have more than anything is yourself, and that's the thing that you gotta always remember. You always got your own back, and, you always gotta support yourself at the end of the day. And all you got to do is just keep prospering in the best way that you can to make sure that everything goes smooth, you know. But again, life be tricky. Life be certainly weird, that's for sure. But just got to keep it moving along, you know, and doing your best. I realized, it's a short video today. Besides, that whole, I guess, college application thing and whatever, or going back to school application thing or whatever, nothing really else happened because today was really, generally a chill day and all that. So unfortunately, a little bit of a smaller video, I admit, a little bit of a smaller video. But I hope nonetheless that, you guys just tune in and, enjoy and everything. And I hope this is giving some either sort of comfort or just kind of relatability, and everything. And I hope you guys have a wonderful time. And I just want to say I appreciate you and I love you all.